सो
हम्म,
GSoC को ना तुम एक अपॉर्चुनिटी देखो टू लर्न। अगर GSoC हो जाता है तो बढ़िया है, नहीं होता तो भी तुमने सीख बहुत कुछ लिया। डोंट अंडर एस्टिमेट योरसेल्फ। तुम्हें पता नहीं है तुम फोड़ सकते हो, लाइक तुम्हें कितनी ताकत है, लाइक यू आर स्ट्रांग, लाइक यू कैन डू इट। सो जस्ट
हम्म,
ट्रस्ट योरसेल्फ। हैविंग दैट सेल्फ बिलीफ इज आल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट आई फील, बिकॉज़ इफ यू टेल दिस कि मैं GSoC का ट्राई कर रहा हूँ इन माय सेकंड ईयर, यार काफी सारे लोग तुम्हें सीरियसली लेंगे भी नहीं, बिकॉज उनसे नहीं हो सकता। बट जस्ट बिकॉज उनसे नहीं हो सकता, तुम्हें ये नहीं मानना है कि मुझसे भी नहीं हो सकता। तो जस्ट हैव
हम्म,
दैट सेल्फ बिलीफ एंड यार मेहनत करते हो यार, वो इम्पोर्टेंट है। सो इनिशियली माय प्रपोजल वाज 22 पेजेस लॉन्ग, ओके, एंड
okay,
आई सेंट दैट टू माय मेंटर एंड माय मेंटर वाज लाइक, भाई इतना बड़ा तो ये प्रोजेक्ट भी नहीं है जितना बड़ा तेरा प्रपोजल है भाई, लाइक व्हाट आर यू डूइंग। आई वुड से इफ यू आर इन अ टियर 3 कॉलेज जहां पर आपको पता है कि कंपनीज इतनी अच्छी आती ही नहीं है, and
हम्म,
if you are taking this open source route seriously, then I think you should focus on that, because you can earn much more. Like you can earn in US in dollars, because you would be contributing to certain organizations and you would be getting stipend in dollars.
Hi guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. I hope you all are doing good. We are back with a new video. Today's video is going to be really special for anyone who is in college. We have a very special guest with us today, Devansh. Devansh cracked Google Summer of Code when he was in second year of college, and now he is placed in Navi as a developer. Today he will be discussing how he did it and how you guys can also do it. So watch this video till the end, and before moving forward, take a moment to subscribe our channel and press the bell icon so that you get notifications for all our upcoming videos. So welcome Devansh. Thank you for taking out time to do this with us. Can you quickly introduce yourself for our viewers?
So hey guys, first of all, thank you for inviting me. Yeah, Shivani, thanks a lot, and thanks AccioJob for inviting me on their channel. It's a pretty good opportunity. And about me, I am DevanshDixit. I am in my okay. Now I'm not in my final year. I have graduated very recently, like a month back. I still keep saying that I'm in my final year, but so yeah, I've graduated from Pilani, Goa campus, and right now I'm placed at Navi Technologies. It's a fintech company, and I'm working there as a software developer. So yeah, that's about me. And I have a small YouTube channel which I create content about things which are happening in my life, including GSoC. So yeah, that's a bunch of my hobbies.
Great.
Yeah,
So
pretty much.
Devansh, apart from being a developer, he also runs his YouTube channel where he shares his journey about how he cracked Google Summer of Code and various other things as well. So if you guys are also interested in checking out his channel, we will provide the link in the description below. You can check it out. So Devansh, let's move on to the next topic, which is this video is all about. Let's talk a little bit about how you cracked Google Summer of Code, right? And what exactly is it about? Because a lot of the viewers here, whenever they are in college and they want to get started with their coding journey, they're not aware of such competitions which are happening. So you can just tell us a little bit about it and how you actually ended up cracking it.
Okay, first of all, I'll talk about what GSoC or Google Summer of Code is. So GSoC is basically an open source program which is sponsored by Google. So Google basically, so there are a bunch of organizations. Organizations you can say are open source companies. So there are a lot of open source projects. What does open source mean? Open source means that the code is not a ownership. It's not probably owned by a company. Okay, technically owned, but it's free to use, and anyone out there can use the code and they can contribute to it, they can use it, but they have some terms and conditions. So but open source is basically it's like a code which is open for anyone to use and to contribute to. So Google Summer of Code is basically a open source program which is kind of sponsored by Google. And now what open source is to people जो नए हैं, also this is English में है कि हिंदी English चलेगा, like it's mixed
No,
क्या?
no, you can get English.
So okay, fine. So what open source basically is? Open source is a code which is available for anyone to use, to contribute to modify. And there are these open source tools which are very common, and a lot of companies use that. So what Google does is Google acts as a mediator. They ask some organizations which are very good according to Google. They have a standard, they have a metric which kind of categorizes this organization is very good, so they can participate in this. So they have a bunch of or organizations which are on board. All of these are open source, and then these organizations pick students who dedicatedly work for them for doing a big project or a small project. Now there are two categories, but during my time I did it back in 2021, so it was a period of 3 months, basically the whole summer. That's why the term Google Summer of Code comes. So they pick students for the whole summer, and then we have to basically work with the organization. Obviously, it's remote because these organizations are huge and you can contribute from anywhere. So yeah, it's a remote kind of. It's not an internship. Google specifically mentions that it's like a program which is sponsored by Google, and you get stipend based on that, and it's pretty good. पढ़ जाती है कॉलेज में अगर तुम GSoC करते हो तो, and but the biggest part is the learning curve which you get. The learning curve is so steep. Like when I was starting to contribute, I didn't know what contribution meant, what GitHub meant, and 11th 12th में तो I used to hate coding. So पूरा एक journey था which I kind of traversed during this 6 months of pre-GSoC, and then after GSoC I got selected for GSoC. Then it was 3 months in which I actually built what I was supposed to develop.
Okay. So how did you get to know about it? Like you were in your second year, right? And like you mentioned, you hated coding pehle 11th 12th mein, but then you ended up taking computer science. So tell us, like, how did you exactly get to know about it, and what motivated you to actually, keep pursuing it for such a long period of time?
So taking computer science though is a very simple answer. BitSat में score अच्छा आ गया था. BitSat is the exam which people give to come into BITS. And उसमें CS मिल रही थी, and पापा ने बोला था नहीं CS में scope बहुत है, CS ले लो. Even though I didn't like coding, I was like चलो ठीक है, पैसे मिलेंगे बाद में अच्छे, तो मैं CS में आ गया. And I think that's what most of the people do. But when I came to college, then I kind of realized कि oh shit, people can actually make robots move using code, and like there were a bunch of cool things which people were doing. They were developing real life applications which were helping people order food from DMS at night, which would get delivered and stuff. So that was pretty amazing. Like this was happening all in my first year. And in first year, I was also very open to exploring different things. So I kind of explored finance. I was in a lot of clubs and departments. I was in like drama club and a bunch of other things. So I was exploring a lot, and I slowly started exploring coding as well, because my degree was CS. So after 4 years, I should know how to code. But I was like, ठीक है, coding. And धीरे-धीरे when I saw what coding can actually do, I kind of was drawn towards it, because all our exams were very logical and very structured. So I kind of liked that. So that's what kind of motivated me to take coding seriously. And GSoC came into picture in first year, because तो हर एक campus का एक culture होता है. Like हैदराबाद का competitive coding का culture काफी अच्छा है. And GSoC मतलब गोवा का GSoC का कल्चर काफी अच्छा है. There are a bunch of seniors who participated in this GSoC program, and they used to have these talks in college. So first of all, I would say कि if you are a fresher, like just attend any talk out there. Don't hesitate to ask questions. So I attended these bunch of talks, and then I got to know about GSoC, and then I realized कि okay, it's pretty cool, because yeah, मतलब काफी फोड़ रहे थे वो लोग अभी उस point GSoC के बाद, and things were pretty great. And मुझे लगा this would be a good challenge to pursue, and it was pretty prestigious also. तो मैं बोला चलो try करके देख लेते हैं second year में. And second year में there was this organization called Circuitverse. Circuitverse is basically I'm not sure if you guys know Logism. So Circuitverse basically makes digital circuits online. And I was at that time pursuing a course called Digital Design, which is basically making logical circuits and all. So that was doing that online. So I was like, okay, this sounds pretty cool. This is what I'm doing in this semester right now. So I think I can vibe with this. So I started contributing. I started contacting the mentors, and then slowly and gradually it happened. So what motivated me to crack GSoC or to pursue GSoC was mostly the culture and the network that I had.
Basically, you were anyway surrounded by people who were too much into it, and you started liking coding anyway in your first and second year, and then you thought of doing it. Why not? Because many people are doing it.
In a way, but I wouldn't say I was surrounded by people. Like there were a few people who I was lucky to kind of interact with, and I attended the sessions. And coding may be interesting, but coding again is huge. Like there are like multiple domains. You can do a bunch of other things. Why GSoC specifically? Because I found it pretty cool कि ठीक है, मतलब it's pretty respectful, and it's a good challenge to have, like because GSoC is pretty prestigious, and मुझे लगा कर लेते हैं तो फिर you would be exploring a lot, because as I said, like I was exploring a bunch of things. So I was like, the best way to explore coding is to probably try for the toughest open source program. अगर होता है तो अच्छी बात है, नहीं होता तो सीखने को बहुत कुछ मिल जाएगा, and अच्छे से explore कर लूँगा मैं. So that's what probably the plan of my second year self was. Yeah.
So, Devansh, like you mentioned, that it is like Google specifically mentions that it's not an internship or anything, it is just a competition of some sort which is happening. And like
Yeah.
you also mentioned that there was an organization that you ended up picking where you wanted to contribute, right? So, what I have also heard कि मतलब इस पूरे competition में काफी सारे organizations कह लो या फिर open source जो projects होते हैं ये लोग कर रहे होते हैं participate, and you just have to pick one and you want to see where you can contribute the most. Like किसी एक में you just want to keep on giving contributions because they all have their GitHub there, right? So how does one decide on कि मुझे कौन से पे करना है? And do you think sticking with just one is a good choice to make, or do you think someone who is applying for it, they should just keep exploring multiple organizations and keep giving their contributions and see where the best results come from?
Okay, yeah, that's a pretty good question, and I've been asked that question a lot. So, first of all, I wouldn't say it's a competition. मतलब वरना बहुत गलत सोच लगता है कि भाई करना है it's a race. नहीं यार, it's just a program which promotes open source developers and open source contributions. Now, having said that, I personally, if you see my GSoC journey, there was a time in which I was like, okay, I know HTML, CSS, JavaScript, बहुत basic level का. That तो anyone who probably ever does front end, they start with that. And I was like, okay, I know this, but I'm not that good enough to be able to understand huge code bases and so much which is going around in the app and stuff like that. So at that point, because Circuitverse, as I mentioned, they were also using, I think, Ruby on Rails and Redis and all those things, and वो मुझे पता ही नहीं था, मतलब अभी भी नहीं पता है मुझे, to be honest, वो क्या करते हैं कैसे करते हैं, तो उस टाइम पे तो पता ही नहीं था. तो I was like, यार मैं इतनी मेहनत जो कर रहा हूँ, what if I don't get selected in this organization? So at that point I kind of thought of switching to another organization called Zulip, and Zulip में I wrote a message very publicly कि hey, I think this was during January कि hey, I'm Devansh, I'm in my second year, I found this organization very cool, I'm starting a challenge called one contribution a day, something and all I wrote, and I sent the message. And then I would say call this luck, but the Circuitverse mentor, he actually had a meeting and he approached the different projects which were kind of focusing on, and then one of them was ML, and one of my projects which I was doing in my first year was related to ML. So ML I had more knowledge, and then I was like, okay, let's just stick to Circuitverse. But again, having said that, I don't think that's a very good if GSoC is your goal, then I wouldn't say this is a very good strategy to go forward by, because you can't put all your coins in one basket, right? All your eggs in one basket. So GSoC gives you 3 options. During my time they used to give, I think it is still 3. So you can send 3 proposals to 3 organizations, or for 3 projects basically. So they can be different organizations or the same organization. Now so you have 3 chances, but then I would say that if you are a very skilled developer, like if you know what you're doing and you know everything in and out, then it makes sense to contribute in a lot of space. But if you're a fresher, I would say that you shouldn't focus on cracking GSoC, you should focus on learning more things. So एक organization चुनो, उसमें अच्छे से घुस जाओ, like try to contribute as much as you can, and उसमें तो apply करो. But अगर तुम अच्छे developer हो, if you already know a bunch of things, then you can probably contribute to 3-4 organizations and then give 3-4 proposals, and then you would increase your chances of getting selected by a significant margin. But I think that's my take. Yeah.
Okay. So Devansh, you mentioned that when you were applying to that company, जिसमें तुमने like finally किया contribution, there were 2 things like Ruby, Rails जो तुम्हें नहीं आती थी, और they were asking for it, right? और तुम्हारे कुछ ही specializations थी which you were confident upon. So ऐसे ही बहुत सारे freshers भी होते होंगे जिन्हें बहुत basics of coding आता है या फिर कुछ बहुत ही basic चीज आती है, but then the organization is asking for something मतलब ज़्यादा, right? So how does then one stay consistent and be even motivated to keep on applying to that organization? Because then you always have that fear in your head कि मैं तो reject हो ही जाऊँगा, what's the point? Should I at least then first start learning this and then apply? Should I be completely ready and then apply? Like how is the way about it? Like, and how did you do it कि मुझे यही organization select करनी है, and doesn't matter if I don't know all the skills, but I will keep on applying.
Okay, so 2 things here. First of all, यार failure, even if you fail, okay, let's say what's the worst case scenario? तुमने बहुत contribution करे, तुम fail हो गए. But अगर तुम ऐसे सोचो कि the developer, the skills that you had 6 months back, they have tremendously increased. So you haven't failed yet. मतलब you were not a GSoCer, but you haven't failed yet. Like ऐसे fail कुछ नहीं होता भाई मेरे हिसाब से, ठीक है. But again, I think communicating with the mentor is probably very important here, because your mentor would know कि तुम्हें वो कैसे tasks देगा. Your mentor would have, you just be very open to your mentor कि hey, I'm Devansh, I'm in my second year, I have these skills. Do you think I would be able to contribute enough, or do you think that my contributions would play a significant role in this project or in this project? You can be very, very friendly or obvious. That's what even I did. Like I used to type anything which came in my mind, and then the mentors knew that I was very excited. So I think that being like, when you are a college student, that is one card you can always play, that I don't know anything. Can you just please help me here? Please help me there. But the whole point is to just believe in yourself कि ठीक है, अगर नहीं आता तो मैं सीख लूंगा यार. Like ऐसा ज़्यादा लोड नहीं लेना, और नहीं सीखा मतलब सीख तो लूंगा, होना नहीं होना वो मेरे हाथ में नहीं है. Like I can just work, but the final of getting selected or not, that's not in my hand. But at least I learn a lot. So I think that should be the mentality in any of the field in life. Like not just GSoC or not just anything. Like everything में यही सोचना चाहिए.
That's great piece of advice, Devansh. Now let's talk a little bit about your entire project selection process. Like, how was it like, and how did you actually decide the project that you wanted to contribute to? Like, मतलब starting से बता सकते हो चीज़.
ठीक है. तो शुरू में since I was interested in circuit, so there is this program called Hacktoberfest, which happens in October, in which if you make 4 pull requests, you basically get a free T-shirt. So that was a very good motivation, because the T-shirts were really nice. I liked the designs, and I was like, yeah, it's just 4 contributions. मैंने कहा चलो इससे start करते हैं. Let's start our journey from Hacktoberfest. So Hacktoberfest में I participated. I made 4 pull requests. Those got accepted, and I got a free T-shirt. उसके बाद then I was like, okay, now Hacktoberfest is done, and it's pretty interesting. It's pretty cool. So now let's अभी GSoC का भी थोड़ा देखना start करते हैं. So November में I kind of started seeing organizations. And okay, if you can see the video, I'm actually like legit on the screen right now and filtering like in the video ki, okay, this organization looks fine, this organization does this, oh, this organization use Django, mujhe to aata hi nahi hai. So I'm kind of filtering organizations on the video, and then I'm like, okay, this organization circuit works, it looks pretty good, like they use HTML CSS JavaScript, तो वो तो मुझे आता है. उस टाइम पे मुझे लग रहा था भाई क्या तोप चीज आती है मुझे, HTML CSS JavaScript क्या मैंने तो. But हाँ, and then I reached out to the mentor, and I told him, okay, I'm Devansh, I gave my introduction, I'm from Pilani. That guy was from Triple IT Hyderabad. His name is Satvik Ram Prasad. He works at Google right now, so he's also a very pro guy. And I reached out to him. He was the owner of the organization, so he was like, okay, he gave me a few tasks. This is a sidebar, just modify it, just make it beautiful. I did that. So he knew that if I take on a task, I actually do it. Like even though I don't know how to do it, I can do it. So that built a bit of trust. But then after a point, the task which he gave me took a lot of time to do, because I didn't have the knowledge of, okay, I had to learn everything from scratch, right? So at that point I was very confused. Should I continue in this organization, or should I move to Zulip, in which I had already put the message कि I am starting a challenge of 1 contribution.
Publicly काफी announce कर गया मैंने.
announce करके आ गया था मैं वहाँ पे. तो वो dilemma था बीच में. And उसके बाद again, communication is the key. I told this to my mentor कि I don't think I'm able to contribute enough here. So do you think this is the right way? Like, and then he told me about okay, no, there are other projects which you can probably contribute about. If you don't like development, or if you don't have enough knowledge, you can maybe try this ML project that we are working on. And that was something which was very, very interesting, because I'll tell you about my project. So in YouTube, okay, like everyone who's watching this video, side में तो recommendations दिख रही होती है ना. And let's say no one goes to YouTube thinking कि I'll watch this video and after that I'll stop. तुम YouTube में 2 घंटे इसलिए बिताते हो because of the recommendation system, because वो side में जो आती हैं चीजें, those things are personalized, such heavily personalized that you just keep on clicking and watching and you are there on the app. So I had to make that system for that organization. And then I was like, this is a project which is very, very interesting. I had my YouTube channel back then, so I was like, wow, this is what would also interest me, and I would personally learn a lot also. So then I started learning it, and I had prior ML experience also because I was working. I had explored, as I said, I was exploring a bunch of things in coding, right? So I had explored computer vision also. So computer vision was also pretty interesting. So yeah, I was like, okay, ML is something which I've explored. This guy is asking me to do an ML project. Perfect fit. So then I started contributing, and they had a specific mentor who was the ML mentor. So I asked a bunch of questions to him, and then yeah, that's how the project started working.
So I think you just have to like keep in mind a perfect blend of your current skill set and how much of an interest you have in that specific topic. If you're really excited about it, if you think that you will love working on it, then you should just give your shot. What's the worst that can happen? You can just go to another project, right?
And you learn a lot. Like learning should be too much.
Great. So, Devansh, like you mentioned कि it's a very long process, right? मतलब काफी महीने तक ये चलता है. तो आप थोड़ा सा like briefly explain कर सकते हो कि पूरे project की timeline कैसे रहती है? Like कब कब क्या क्या होता है? And especially being someone who is still in college, because obviously any second year or third year person would want to do this because they have some time in their lives right now. But also their classes are happening. So how does one manage time effectively while pursuing it? And what's the entire project timeline like? वो आप briefly बता सकते हो.
Okay, so my experience was kind of different here because at that time COVID was there. So अगर offline class होती तो I probably wouldn't be able to invest so much time. But since it was online, I was up at 5 a.m. thinking about क्या करना है. I was talking to mentor. Like mentor was obviously sleeping, but I was so excited. I was still typing and like, sorry, I've done this. Can you please review it tomorrow morning? So I was very excited. And तो टाइम तो ऐसे ही मैनेज किया है, कभी रात तक जग के कर रहे हैं, लेट सो के कर रहे हैं, ऐसा ऐसा. एंड एज फार एज द टाइमलाइन इज कंसिडर्ड, आई विल जस्ट ब्रीफली मेंशन. सो आई बैकग्राउंड में मैंने GSoC की टाइमलाइन खोली हुई है. आई जस्ट लाइक क्या होता है. तो जनवरी 23 में I think the organization, so there are a bunch of organizations, right, which actually send their proposal to Google, and then Google picks up कि okay, this organization seems good, these organizations में ये issue है, तो वो Google का criteria होता है. That is, I don't have any information about that, but Google picks up those organizations, and then February में I think February 7th is what is mentioned, that mentoring. Or can I present my screen? I think that would be better.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah. So here the organization starts submitting the applications. 7th February it is the deadline for organizations to actually send the application. Like, and उसके बाद application close जाती है for the organizations. Then 7 to 21st, Google reviews the organizations and decides कि these are the organizations which would be accepting students, and these are good organizations approved by Google.
अच्छा.
Then from February 22nd to March 19th, these organizations have to discuss project ideas. Ki, okay, I am selected. I think they have a set of seats. Ki, a bigger organization can have probably, let's say, 30 seats. They can pick 30 students. But a small organizations like Circuitverse, in my time, they picked up 6 students. So, so it varies depending on the size of the organization and a bunch of other things. So and every seat has one project. So let's say if they have 6 seats, they would have 6 projects which are accepted by Google. So then from February 22nd to March 19th, they discuss their application ideas. Then March 20 is where our job begins. So March 20 to April 4th is where we have to kind of make a proposal, get it reviewed by mentors, and make a bunch of iterations, and then send a final proposal by April.
Okay.
And and on May 4th, around 1 month, after a month, they accept these are the students which are selected, who would be onboarded with us, and they would be a part of GSoC of that year, GSoC 2024.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And after that, it's a community bonding period in which you just meet with the mentors, and then you have they talk about the history of the organization. They talk about, okay, these are the people. It's probably a fun interaction, and then the work begins. And then there are 2 evaluations. So May 29 coding begins, and then then it's probably very internal. Like Google then just monitors ki theek hai, evaluation is on time or not, and these bunch of things. But yeah, then it's probably very different for different people.
Great. ठीक है, Devansh, that was about the timeline. Now let's talk a little bit about, how does one actually approach the whole communication and collaboration part with the mentor and the open source community, right? Because you're someone who seems like an, sort of an extrovert person who is very much open to talking to people and getting their queries resolved and all that. So college में तो काफी सारे बच्चे ऐसे होते हैं, मतलब they are very shy, they are into coding because most of the time the nerds are doing coding, right? They are into it, so they don't really talk with the people around them. So how does then one develop that approach towards being very much open to talking to people in the community, और अपने mentors से जितने question आ रहे हैं पूछ पा रहे हो, और जैसे आपने बोला कि आप तो सुबह 5 बजे भी उनको messages कर रहे थे, and then लोगों को लगेगा कि no, I should not have done that and all that. So वो सब जो एक बैरियर है अंदर हमारा साइकोलॉजिकल, वो कैसे कोई ब्रेक करे, एंड हाउ शुड जस्ट वन गेट फ्री अबाउट ऑल ऑफ दिस एंड पार्टिसिपेट एज मच एज दे कैन.
ओके, सो वो जो आप बोल रहे थे ना कि 5 बजे मैसेज कर रहा हूँ कि नहीं कर रहा, लगना ये भी मुझे लगा था. लाइक आई हैव टोल्ड दिस इन द वीडियो कि यार मैं अभी मैसेज कर रहा हूँ, शुड आई जस्ट सेंड दैट मैसेज और नॉट? लाइक इट्स टू अर्ली टू सेंड दिस मैसेज. विल द मेंटर थिंक दैट like I've also felt that overthinking trap. But right now, when I think about these things, I always look at the worst case scenario. Okay, you send this message, what's the worst that can happen? And if you're comfortable with that worst case scenario, then you should be fine with sending that message, right? Like अगर मैंने 5 बजे मैसेज भेज दिया, चलो ठीक है, worst case scenario क्या हो सकता है? वो मेंटर बोलेगा please don't send me message from like I am only available from 9 to 9, let's say. Okay, then you learn something about that mentor and you be like, oh sorry, I didn't know that, I would be mindful for the next time. But the upside is so much, because see, mentor is interacting with 10 other people, okay, or probably 100 other people. You don't know that. But if he feels that this person is so excited about this project that he's up at 5 a.m. and working for me, and he's thinking about the project, then that would basically set you apart from others, right? And that is what I think is very important in life, because ठीक है यार, सब तो हर मतलब क्राउड बनाने से किसी को कुछ फायदा होता नहीं है भाई, ये सब चीजें होती हैं. and if you are up at 5, you are genuinely excited, and just texting that just shows that to the mentor. तो बस वही है यार. And fun fact, तो मेरा क्या हुआ था, after I submitted the proposal, right, after that was done, I had a separate round which is not a part of GSoC, but the organization took it, because there were 2 people, me and some other guy, who both of us had really good proposals, and both of us were kind of equal when it came to technical capabilities, okay, because he wrote a very good proposal, I wrote a very good proposal. And I think when I asked this to my mentor later, the sole reason for choosing me over that guy was because I was very excited and I had actually trained the model, downloaded a bunch of data, did some shit and sent it to my mentor at some time. So that was the reason. So it's these extra things which you feel are a big deal, okay? You feel that, oh shit, मैं अगर ये बोलूँगा तो क्या हो जाएगा, दुनिया तबाह हो जाएगी. कुछ नहीं होता भाई, chill रहती जिंदगी. So just think about the worst case scenario, what can happen. If you're comfortable with that, then you should do it. But if the worst case scenario is कि तुम्हारा घर बिक जाएगा, then वो सब मत करो. But इतनी बड़ी problems life में होती नहीं है stage पे. So I think that's something which you guys can take away. And हाँ, बस यही है, like इतना load
break that overthinking wala trap, and uske baad to मतलब कुछ है नहीं, because these are only just mentors, you guys are talking about your projects only, what's the percentage.
And there's one more thing, like it's in like I read this somewhere, it's called the spotlight effect. Spotlight effect is basically everyone feels that, okay, so everyone is thinking about me, I am the spotlight is on me, but hardly anyone thinks about you in life. Like they're busy with their own lives, they don't like even know ki what you are doing, like, so yeah, overthink nahi karna चाहिए.
Great advice, Devansh. Now let's talk a little bit about what sorts of problem did you actually face while going through all of this, so that one who is actually planning to take part in Google Summer of Code can take care of, so that his entire journey is a little bit smoother. You can share your problems that you ended up facing.
So I would say it was a bunch of problems. Like I was in my second year, I didn't know anything. Like I thought HTML and JavaScript was something which was extraordinary. ML I had started exploring. So it was mostly self-doubt also. Then there was, as I mentioned, at one point I felt that, okay, the contributions that I'm making, are they actually impacting, or should I change the organizations? That was also a dilemma. Then learning anything from scratch it's a new challenge in itself. And then there's a very thin line between, ठीक है, should I actually learn this, it's in within my scope, या इसको सीखने में मुझे बहुत टाइम लग जाएगा, या फिर मैं अगर इसको सीखूंगा तो will I be just मतलब कैसे समझाऊं, मान लो एक प्रॉब्लम आई तुम्हारे पास, ठीक है, लेट्स से यू हैव अ प्रॉब्लम x and you need to learn y, which is let's say 10% of a bigger thing, but वो y सीख के तुम्हारा काम हो जाएगा, तो तुम वो प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व कर दोगे. बट देन इफ सम अदर प्रॉब्लम्स कम्स, you have to learn some other part of that bigger thing, right? So that is also which came in my mind a lot कि अगर मैं आज Ruby on Rails सीख लूं तो ठीक है, ये प्रॉब्लम तो मैं सॉल्व कर दूंगा, बट मुझे ये नहीं पता होगा Ruby on Rails करता क्या है, हाउ इज दैट लिंक्ड टू अ बिगर सिस्टम, ये पूरा सिस्टम कैसे काम करता है, तो वो सीखने में मुझे बहुत टाइम लग जाएगा. बट GSoC तब तक निकल जाएगा. So this is also a very big confusion. So these are some challenges which you need to probably discuss with your mentor, because those guys are pretty smart. Like these guys are 3-4 years or probably much older than you, and they have a better idea. They have been in your place, so they would be able to guide better. Yeah, a bunch of challenges like proposal बनाते वक्त भी you don't know if. So initially my proposal was 22 pages long, okay, and I sent that to my mentor, and my mentor was like, भाई इतना बड़ा तो ये प्रोजेक्ट भी नहीं है जितना बड़ा तेरा प्रपोजल है भाई, like what are you doing? And then he's like, no, the proposal should be 10 pages. Then I had to reduce that to 10 pages. So everything is a challenge in itself, but it's fun. Like you learn a lot. That's all.
So just tell us like 3-4 points fresher should take care of while being a part of GSoC.
Okay, first of all, just be communicative. Like just talk to mentors. Tell them where you're coming from. Why are you thinking the way you are thinking? Because they might have a very different approach to a problem. You might have a very different approach to a problem. So communication is the key. Second, I think I would be like, just don't do GSoC because you want to do GSoC. Like that is a mentality in which I had, because I thought कि GSoC is prestigious, ये करना चाहिए, करेंगे तो नहीं किया तो दुनिया तबाह हो जाएगी. But while I was at GSoC, I realized कि यार I'm learning so much. मतलब इतना fast मैं इतनी चीजें सीख ही नहीं पाता अगर I was not participating in, or if I was not trying to participate in this GSoC thingy. So GSoC को ना तुम एक opportunity देखो to learn. अगर GSoC हो जाता है तो बढ़िया है, नहीं होता तो भी तुमने सीख बहुत कुछ लिया. So this is the second thing that I would say. तीसरी चीज मुझे सोचनी पड़ेगी यार, क्योंकि मैं 2 ही चीजें प्रिपेयर करके आया था.
I think that is also enough, because obviously the people who will be applying for it, उनके अपने अपने skills होंगे, technical aspects they can take care of, but then I think these are like very important things, because it is such a long journey for someone. They'll have to be very consistent at it. They cannot be negative about it in the middle of it, and they also have to be very much communicative throughout it with their mentors, so that they are aware how much you are taking this seriously and you want to contribute, right? Great.
I have one more point. अभी like thinking. So the third thing is, ऐसे किसी like I would say don't underestimate yourself. You don't think here I am in my second year only. People from 4th year also apply. They know so much more than me. Guys, I am in my 4th year right now. Okay, sorry. I have graduated recently. I'm reminding myself that. So I've graduated recently, and trust me, I don't know a lot. I don't know. Okay, I probably am a better state from my second year self. But यार development के चलते ना मुझे ज़्यादा कुछ आता नहीं है. And don't underestimate yourself. तुम्हें पता नहीं है तुम फोड़ सकते हो. Like तुम्हें कितनी ताकत है. Like you're strong. Like you can do it. So just trust yourself. Having that self-belief is also very important, I feel. Because if you tell this कि मैं GSoC का try कर रहा हूँ in my second year, यार काफी सारे लोग तुम्हें seriously लेंगे नहीं, because उनसे नहीं हो सकता. But just because उनसे नहीं हो सकता, तुम्हें ये नहीं मानना है कि मुझसे भी नहीं हो सकता. So just have that self-belief, and यार मेहनत करते हो यार, वो important है. सब सीखोगे तो काफी.
Great. So Devansh, any funny or memorable anecdotal experience you would like to share from this experience? मतलब कुछ तो अच्छा भी हुआ ही होगा, like funny way में, or something that you have like remembered till now. Or you can like put it this way also, ki matlab, you know, something that you have taken out of this experience which has impacted your career or even academic journey in such a way that you are now using it as a full-time developer, and it is actually helping you as being a working professional now.
Okay, so I would say GSoC has a good contribution in my YouTube channel views.
Okay.
No, but jokes apart, if you're asking for a funny thing, so in our community bonding period, a mentor who was, I think, 7-8 years older than us. He was also part of that organization. So he is also a GSoCer, and he told me that he was asking about the stipend that we get. So we get $1,500 back then, like 2 years back. We get $1,500, which is around 1.08 lakh rupees. Okay.
So this is after you won it, right?
After we complete the process. So we get shortlisted in May. Then our coding period starts, and after 3 months, like August ke baad, once everything is accepted, the organizations have accepted that this guy has worked very well for us. His project is accepted by us. After that, you get the money from Google. So, but this was back like community bonding period, in the initial phase only, when we got selected, in which it's a very chill period in which mentors talk. They talk about the history of circuit boards and things like that. So, usme the mentor mentioned the perks of doing GSoC back then. Like, so he used to get $5,000 the moment he gets selected. So we get money after we have completed the project, right? But he used to get paid the moment he gets selected. So the moment the results get announced and stuff. And then he told me that they get a bunch of goodies and a bunch of things. They used to get 3 Google referrals that you can use anywhere in the world. So not just Google India. You can apply to Google London office, Google US. Like, there were a lot of perks. So that was probably a fun moment in which he was teasing us.
Great. Okay. Cool. So that was about Google Summer of Code, Devansh. Are there any other programs like this which are happening which can be useful for, you know, people who are still in college and wanting to pursue a career in coding, that they can take care of or maybe be cognizant of, so that they apply to it, they also win some money out of it, and they also, you know, develop some good interest in it? मतलब इसके अलावा भी कुछ ऐसे हैं क्या programs जो चल रहे होते हैं throughout?
There are a bunch of open source programs. एक तो मतलब मैंने तो बताया, like Hacktoberfest, you get a free T-shirt for just making 4 pull requests, and they should be decent pull requests. So that's very good.
Course contribution ही है, मतलब इसमें आपको बस अपने pull requests भेजने हैं, and if they get accepted, then you get a T-shirt.
Correct. Yeah, just 4 of them, and it's I think it's done by DigitalOcean, which is a very big company. Like it's a hosting company, I think. So it's proper. It's like legit. So I also got my goodies on time and also, तो बहुत सही रहता है. I should have worn that T-shirt, but okay, like then GSoC तो है ही. उसके अलावा there is Google Summer of Docs also, which is basically it's for technical writers, and they work on open source projects. They write the documentation for open source organizations, and they get paid by Google. So it's like the documentation version of Google Summer of Code.
So basically, into technical writing, they can go for it.
Yeah, they can pursue that. Then there is MLH Fellowship, there's Outreachy, and there are a bunch of these programs. Like, you can just Google it.
Where does one get to know about all this? Like, is there a portal, or are there any resources that you use to follow जहाँ पे ये सब updates मिलते हैं freshers को?
नहीं, I would say that just एक बार Google कर लो यार आप, and just see कि ठीक है, you'll get a bunch, like probably a list of these open source organized programs. And then you can see the dates, okay, this happens at this time, this happens at that time.
Okay.
And you can get a good idea. Like, I didn't participate in any open source programs after that because मेरा placements और ये सब start हो गया था. So I think second is probably the best time to do GSoC if you're doing it.
Okay. Devansh, so one more question that I would like to ask. I think ये काफी popular है coding community में भी, कि मतलब आजकल काफी लोगों को confusion हो गया है कि some people are very much into कि आपको open source contribution ज़्यादा करना चाहिए, development को ज़्यादा focus करो, या फिर data structures and algorithms पे, because that is like the fundamentals of coding. And every big company out there, all the FAANG companies, like they are focusing, उनके mostly सारे rounds पहले तो DSA पे ही होते हैं, और वो medium level lead code पे आप बस लगाए जा रहे हो questions, right? So उस पे what is your take? Like, how much of a balance should one keep कि आप open source भी कर रहे हो, आप DSA भी कर रहे हो, या फिर सिर्फ DSA ही करते जा रहे हो और अपने fundamentals अच्छे कर रहे हो तो आपकी हो जाएगी placement. So what is your take on that?
Okay, so yeah, this is something which even I was in a dilemma like for a long time, and I would like to kind of explain my take on this. See, so I think this is okay. This is what I felt after doing GSoC. I thought कि this is like something very extraordinary. Like अब तो मैं हर एक company के लिए eligible हो जाऊँगा and अब तो फोड़ दूँगा तो आग लगा दूँगा मैं. But then when I actually sat for these interviews, they asked DSA questions. And DSA मैंने उतना seriously किया नहीं था after my second year, because second year की summers is when these companies come for internships, like after second year summers. And I was doing GSoC at that time, correct? And the internship happens after third year. So I didn't do DSA at all. I was just focusing on GSoC. And but yeah, so these big companies who come for campus placements, they only are focused on like if you know DSA, then you are good. In my experience, okay, this experience might change for some other person who has done GSoC and then उसका हो सकता है इंटरव्यू GSoC के ऊपर ही पूरा हुआ हो. But मेरा तो ऐसे था कि they ask DSA questions first. अगर तुम्हें आता है, then they kind of focus on ठीक है the projects that you have done. And उस case में GSoC helps. Like in Navi, when I was interviewing for Navi, in the final round, in hiring manager round, उससे पहले सारे round DSA based थे. But in the final hiring manager round, then he was like, oh, you did GSoC. Then we talked about, I presented my screen, I showed him my project, and then he was pretty impressed. So that is for the final stage. But having said that, there are two exceptions. First, if you are interested in working for startups and any startup in the world, like outside, even outside India, so then GSoC becomes really helpful because it's kind of an international thing, right? GSoC, everyone knows about GSoC who's into tech space. So that kind of helps because they know कि ठीक है, this guy can contribute to big. What does GSoC mean? You can contribute to a bigger piece of code who's written by different people out there, and that is what companies also actually do, right? If you join Google, you wouldn't be coding Google Maps all over again, right? You'd be contributing to smaller chunks of Google Maps. So they kind of recognize that, and तो startups में I think it's helpful, and I would say कि this is something which I haven't explored, but I have heard कि open source में बहुत सारी opportunities होती हैं. See, so these organizations, if you are a very good contributor, you get paid also. This is I haven't explored because I am also like starting my career. So ऐसा हुआ कि मुझे ज़्यादा experience इसका, but I've heard this. So I would say if you are in a tier 3 college जहाँ पर आपको पता है कि companies इतनी अच्छी आती नहीं है, and if you are taking this open source route seriously, then I think you should focus on that because you can earn much more. Like you can earn in dollars because you would be contributing to certain organizations and you would be getting stipend in dollars. So that becomes a very good opportunity for you. But I would say if you're, let's say I'm from BITS, right? So मेरे college में ही इतनी अच्छी companies आती है कि I had to make this decision कि यार मैं या तो open source चुन सकता हूँ या तो मैं DSA करके एक अच्छी company में play कर सकता हूँ. And since the second method was kind of served on me for a platter कि companies आती हैं, like anyways तुम्हें बैठना पड़ेगा उसमें, then why not prepare for DSA? तो मैंने फिर DSA की तरफ move on करके मैं वो कर लिया. But having said that, in the future I might start contributing to open source again because yeah, why not?
Okay, so you basically chose that part wherein you wanted to go for a startup because you had done so much of open source contribution, and startups look for that only. So one last question, how is the experience like in your current company? What sorts of project are you currently working on? And yeah, you can just share us a little bit about that.
Sure. So right now, I joined like 1 month back, and in the 1 month they trained. So they trained everything like from scratch. They trained us. They taught us Git, and पूरा उन्होंने पढ़ाया. So it was a boot camp basically. And उसके बाद I have been allotted a team which kind of manages the referrals and rewards of Navi. And yeah, my work has just started like yesterday. Like I got my pull request approved or something. So it's just started. So it's very, very early to comment about what my work is like. But yeah, I'm a backend developer. So I write APIs, I scale systems. No, I don't have that power yet. Yeah, I just write APIs till now.
Okay. Great. Thanks, Devansh. That was great. I hope people watching this will, take inspiration from you and get started with their GSoC thingy. And yeah, so finally, any sort of parting words of encouragement for our viewers or college students who are watching this, you can take from you and anything that you would like to say for them, any sort of advice?
Sure. Again, I would say that never do everything, bro. Like college gives you a very, like, it's like a shield, okay? Like, it's probably the last shield you'll ever get before you face the real world. So it's like a shield in which you can do anything which you like. You can start a YouTube channel, you can try GSoC. If you like robotics, you can just go deep into robotics and then still fail because no one expects you to become a millionaire in college, right? So it's a very safe space to try and explore and experiment with a bunch of things. So don't take anything seriously. Don't take yourself also seriously. You might feel that you know a lot, but then 2 years down the line, while talking in a podcast, you realize that okay, HTML, CSS, JavaScript isn't enough. So don't take yourself seriously. Explore a bunch of things. You might not know कि ठीक है ये मेरा पैशन है और तुम्हें हो सकता है कॉलेज में मिल जाए. तो वही यार, एंड कुछ भी काम को ऐसा मत समझो कि यार ये मैं नहीं करूंगा, या मैं कर नहीं सकता, या ये मेरे से छोटा है. लाइक कोई काम छोटा नहीं होता. सब करो यार, सब करो, बिकॉज दिस इज द टाइम. एंड just enjoy the process, I would say. Like, don't take anything seriously, don't overthink. Like, फायदा नहीं होता.
Great. Okay, that was amazing piece of advice, Devansh. I hope people listening to you take this advice seriously and apply it in their lives. And thank you again so much for taking out time to do this with us. And yeah, thank you so much. That is it for today's video, guys. I hope you all found it extremely insightful with Devansh. Please like and share the video, and don't forget to comment down below your queries that you want us to cover in our upcoming videos. And yeah, if you guys are still in college, you can just get started with open source contributions. You can get started with Google Summer of Code and apply all the advice that Devansh gave you in this video. And if you are also excited to learn coding, you can just go to our website and apply for the skill eligibility test. Once you take that test, we will help you discover which course is best for you, be it Monstack or Java full stack. Both courses have amazing instructors from top IT companies and mentors to guide you how you can get started with your coding. So don't miss out on this incredible opportunity. Simply click on the link provided in the description below to get started. And if you guys are new to the channel, then don't forget to comment your queries below and press the bell icon so that you get notifications for all our upcoming videos. Thank you so much.